Wait a minute. Didn't the last video say you shouldn't get into the music business because this is the worst time ever? What gives? It's true, I did say that in the last video. Have you ever read A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Everybody knows the opening line. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Let me read just a touch more of that sentence for you. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. And it just goes on and on and on. It lists dichotomy after dichotomy after dichotomy to create this magnificent run-on sentence that's one of the most glorious run-on sentences in literature. It makes up the entire first paragraph. But I digress. A dichotomy is two things, two opposite things that can both be true at the same time. And that's what I think we've got going on with the music business today. I think maybe for some people, this is the worst time ever to get into the music business. For other people, I think probably this is the best time ever. Let's talk about that. So before we get into all the things that, in my opinion, might make this the best time ever to get into the music industry, let me throw a couple of caveats out there. Number one, the music business is hard, and it's harder than it's ever been, but everything is harder than it's ever been. I've got friends in all kinds of industries. I know doctors, and I know attorneys and engineers and just all kinds of different people in different fields. And not one of them has said to me, hey, dude, guess what? Things have gotten really easy in my field lately. You ought to jump into that. Everybody is complaining about how hard things are in their industry, whatever it is. So everything is hard. And I'm not going to say that the music business is easy by any stretch of the imagination. Here's a couple of my caveats. If you're getting into the music industry today, you need to be laser focused and willing to put in hard work. I mean, really willing to put in a lot of hard work. If you're willing to do that and you can be laser focused, then this might be the best time ever to get into the music industry. Another caveat is the vast majority of people jumping into the music industry today are going to need to work some sort of a day job in order to keep paying the bills and to finance your music career until your music career gets to the point where it will pay the bills. That said, here's some of the reasons I think this might be the best time ever to get into the music business. And when I say get into the music business, what I'm talking about is being in a band. I'm not talking about getting into the music industry, writing music for TV ads or selecting music for TV shows or whatever. I'm talking about getting in as a performer. All right, so what are some of the reasons that today might be the best time ever to get into the music industry? Well, let's start with the internet. In the last video, I pointed out that the internet actually hampered income opportunities for some of the pre-internet musicians. When the internet came along, it really diminished the number of people looking for in-person lessons. Well, today that's actually an advantage for somebody getting into the music industry right now. You don't have to pay for lessons. You can find online, you can find lessons for guitar, for singing, for keyboards, for music theory. You can find lessons for video making and marketing, and the list just goes on and on. You can learn almost anything on the internet today. Another thing about the internet that's really useful today that is a tool we didn't have back in the day, and that's research. You can research publications where you might get your music reviewed, or you might want to run an ad. You can research venues to find out what kind of music they have, who the contact person is for booking. You can do research on equipment. That's a huge thing. Back in the old days, I had to rely on guitar magazines for equipment reviews. Now, the guitar magazines typically would review equipment by manufacturers who advertised in their magazines. So you've probably heard the saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you. You very rarely saw a negative review in a guitar magazine, and I spent a lot of money on things I probably didn't need to because I didn't have any other way to research that equipment. Today, you can go online. Search engines are your friend. You can also research booking agents and management companies, find out whether they're scams or not. There's so many things that you can research that we couldn't do back in the old days. And now you've got that right there at your fingertips. Another thing with the internet is all the free resources that are out there. There are websites that offer free photos, downloadable photos, free video clips that you can use for your promotional material. My lyric video that I made for Resignation is made up almost entirely of free downloadable video clips. So there's all these online free resources for things like that, sound bites, whatever. You can use it for promotional material. You can use it for lyric videos or regular videos, promotional videos, whatever. There's even AI tools out there, free AI tools, so that you can make animated stuff or designs for your t-shirts or whatever, all for free. There's free video editing software. It's online. You just upload your video and you can edit it online with a free video editing tool. Same thing for image manipulation. There's sites like Canva where you can find all kinds of different fonts and templates for Facebook banners, for whatever. There's just a ton of free resources out there that we didn't have when I got into the music industry a gazillion years ago. Another thing that's really cool about the internet today, as much as I complain about it, is social media. If you get good at social media, you're interacting with fans and the like, that is a great place for free promotion and even paid promotion. And we didn't have that back in the day. It can be a huge time suck if you're just on there doing pointless interactions. But if you're clever with your time on social media, it can be a huge, huge promotional tool. It can really be a big help. And YouTube, right? Here we are on YouTube. Even if you're not looking to be a YouTube star, YouTube is a great place to put videos that you can refer venues to. You can say, hey, if you want to see what I sound like, see what I look like, see what our band performs like, you point them to a link on YouTube. And in the old days, we couldn't do that. With one of my old bands, we paid a guy a stupid amount of money to come out and video record our performance. And then if we were going to use that video for anything, we had to pay him more money to edit it down into something short and reasonable to watch. Nobody was going to want to watch our full 3-hour show. So he'd have to edit that down, and then we'd have to pay for VHS cassettes and then pay a stupid amount of postage to ship them off to the venues in the different places we wanted to go. And it was just tremendously expensive. And today, you can do all that stuff for free online. And then there's your own website. And yeah, in the last video, I said it's a lot of work, but oh my gosh. In the old days, when I put up my first website, when ClarkPlaysGuitar.com first went online, I couldn't afford to pay somebody to create the website for me. So I spent weeks and weeks learning how to write HTML, a type of computer code, so that I could put my own website up. And it was super tedious. If somebody didn't have the willingness to do that in the old days, they had to pay somebody, maybe thousands of dollars. Today, you can have your own website for 10 or 20 bucks a month. A lot of them are template based, and all you have to do is figure out what you're going to put in there. And it's simple, drop and drag, pictures, text, whatever. And that wasn't a thing when I first got into the music industry a long time ago. And a website, your own website, is great promotion. Don't make the mistake of having your only web presence on Facebook. You got to have your own website, and you can make a great looking one. I use Bandzoogle for mine. There's a lot of other hosting companies where you can use templates to create your website. 10 or 20 bucks a month, it's a no-brainer. Another thing that makes this the best time ever to be in the music industry is the low threshold to recording and releasing your music. Now, this is a double-edged sword. If it's easy for you, that means it's easy for tens of thousands of other people. And you end up with this huge, huge noise floor where it makes it very difficult for your recorded music to stand out. In the old days, if you had a record, that made you stand out in itself. These days, everybody's got an album or 5. So it is a double-edged sword. But anyway, this is a big one for me because I can record anytime I want. I've got my home studio, and anytime I've got an idea, I can blast down into my studio where we're sitting now. I can record guitars, I can record drums, I can record bass, keyboards, whatever I want, and I can play around with it, rearrange it, do whatever I need to do. And in the old days, going into the studio was really expensive. Setting up a home studio is no longer exclusive to rich rock stars. Affordable microphones, affordable audio interfaces are all over the place. There's a ton of manufacturers making really good sounding stuff that's very affordable. Last video I mentioned Billie Eilish and Oliver Anthony both of them have had recordings that have just done really, really well, that were made on equipment that you can probably afford. So that's one of the other things that makes this the best time ever to be in the music business. Another thing tied into this whole recording at home thing is the low cost and ease of worldwide distribution between DistroKid and the services that Discmaker offers. You can get your music onto Apple, you can get it onto Amazon, you can get it onto Spotify, and you've got endless choices that used to be exclusively available to people on big labels. So another thing that makes this the best time ever to be in the music industry is your smartphone. Now bear with me on this. Believe it or not, these things are a huge factor in why this is maybe the best time ever to be in the music industry. Back in the old days, we didn't have cell phones and people couldn't reach us when we were out on the road. With these things, people can reach you almost anytime, anywhere. You don't have to wait till you get to the hotel or get to the venue for somebody to call you or for you to be able to call somebody. When we'd be out on the road in the old days, before the advent of cell phones, we didn't know where we were going to stay necessarily. We'd get to town, we'd get settled into a hotel or a motel. I'd have to call my wife, give her the phone number for the hotel, tell her what room number we were in. Then she would call the wives of the girlfriends of the other guys. And then she'd call our booking agent and give all of them the same information. And if the booking agent needed to reach us for a last minute gig confirmation or whatever, then he could call the hotel or he could call the venue. Well, now he can call you no matter where you're at. You can be out having dinner. Another thing with these that makes this the best time is the cameras. I'm shooting this video on my smartphone. This is a prop. This is non-functional. So you can shoot videos for your YouTube channel, for your Facebook stuff. You can shoot photographs of yourself from stage with your fans. You can post that instantly. In the old days, if we wanted to take a picture of ourselves with fans, we had to do it with a film camera. We had to wait until we shot all 24 pictures on the roll of film. Then we had to take the roll of film someplace and have it developed, and that would take a week. And then we had to have extra prints made, which we then had to put in the snail mail. Are you kidding me? That's crazy talk. These days, all that stuff's instantaneous. Smartphones are a huge factor in why this is the best time to be in the music business. Remember all that internet stuff that I was talking about? You can do that from your smartphone. It's crazy. I don't know. I think maybe this is the best time ever to be in the music business. All right, this video is getting way too long, so we're going to hammer through some other things that make this the best time ever to be in the music business. Here we go. CDs. I know in the last video I said you can't earn a living selling CDs, but they're so affordable. You can get a great sounding, great looking product for not a lot of money, good profit margin. And if you put on a killer live show, people will go back to the merch booth and they will buy CDs. In fact, I believe 70 to 80% of all CDs sold today are sold at merch booths at shows. So while you can't earn a living, you can create a nice supplemental income selling CDs. So I want to add to something I said about streaming in the last video. I still don't think artists are paid fairly, and I still don't think that you can earn a living from streaming unless you're the Foo Fighters or Taylor Swift or whatever. But you can earn supplemental income. If you make a plan and you work the plan and you get your monthly streams up into mid to high 5 figures or higher, you can create a somewhat passive supplemental income. If it's enough income to pay for your website hosting service or whatever, that's a win. A couple of seconds ago, I mentioned gigs. Well, these days, you no longer need to haul piles of back-breaking amplifiers to the gig. You can take a small, great-sounding, affordable amp, put a mic in front of it, and run it through the PA. Or you can use any one of these great-sounding modelers that are out there. There's the Kemper, there's the IK Multimedia Tonex, there's the Helix from Line 6. You plug those directly into the PA. You've got your amp sounds, you've got your effects, you've got everything in a compact little pedal about the size of a briefcase. Speaking of PAs, back in the old days, we needed a 3-man road crew and a 14-foot box truck to haul around our gigantic PA and lighting rig, along with all our stage gear, to each and every gig. We needed 4 to 5 hours to set up before we could even do sound check. These days, you don't have to do that. You arrive at the venue, they've got a great PA and a lighting rig already in place. Speaking of gigs again, since the last video came out, I've had several people reach out to me and tell me that the venues in the towns where they live or the towns where they're moving to are actually starting to pay bands a reasonable amount of money again. This is a great trend, and it's starting now. Guitars and basses with excellent playability and good sound for crazy cheap prices. Super affordable, yet high quality. And speaking of affordable things, if the online video editor is not powerful enough for your needs, grab a copy of DaVinci Resolve, free. This is an editor that is used by major studios across the planet, and it is super powerful, and you can download it for free. Also, if the online image editing software is not powerful enough for your needs, grab a copy of GIMP. It's free, and it'll do everything that some of that $600 image editing software will do. While we're talking about free software, you don't need to buy Pro Tools. You can go to a site called bandlab.com and download a world-class recording program called Cakewalk. It's in hundreds of professional studios across the country. I've used it to put out 5 of my own albums and several records for other people. And it's free, super powerful, and it's free. Today, you've got complete control over your music career. You can do your music, you can do it your way. You don't have some yahoo at the record label telling you jump on the latest TikTok trend. You can do it if you want to. You cannot do it if you want to. It's all up to you. You don't have to tour 9 months out of the year unless you want to. You can even be part-time. Again, it's all up to you. You're the one in control. You can see the demographics and statistics information from your YouTube channel, from your streaming platforms, from your website, from your email campaigns, and you decide what you're going to do with that information, how that's going to shape your career. When I first got into the music industry, artists very rarely had that kind of control over their music career. If you have the right personality, if you can be laser focused, and you're willing to put in the nearly superhuman effort that success requires, then take advantage of the fact that there are more tools and opportunities available to indie musicians today than at any point in time. In my humble opinion, all of these things put together might make this the best time ever to be a musician. But your mileage might vary. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with what I said in this video or what I said in the last video. I look forward to having a conversation with you guys. Right now, I got to go in there and play my guitar. So until next time, live well and rock hard.